This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR straight across the counter. Sponsored by HRTheRealDeal, HR by HR for HR. Hello, Katarina.
Hello, Ann-Marie.
So good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
I was thinking, why don't we talk about your global LeadOnLeave program that you have, that I know has been such a great work from your side, but also been so appreciated. That's the English word for it. Appreciated internally, but also got a lot of good attention outside of the company as well. Right. So why don't we start with the obvious question? What is it?
So our global parental leave is something that we started to talk about 2014. And since we do have a tradition and had a parental leave program in Sweden run by the government for so long, there was a lot of things that we had experience from and that we could weigh in. So I asked 3 people in my team, a man in US and a woman in US and also a woman in UK, to work on it, because I think the easy way to go is to ask somebody of the Swedes to actually see if they could design something. And I wanted them to have an outside-in view, but also look all over the world and see what it actually looks like. And to our surprise, it wasn't 100% surprise, but it actually looked quite bad out there. And we thought that we could build a program that was authentic, but also very much in tune with who we are, what we come from, our values, and the way that we view the world at Spotify. So they came up with a couple of different kind of scenarios and what the program could look like. And then we kind of needed that and also discussed that and debated it a bit, but not so much within the HR lead team. And then I went to our CEO, Daniel Ek, and said, what do you think about this? Is this something we could do? And he looked at me, and I had all the arguments, I had all the equations, I'd done, the business case on how much you put into, attraction, but also employee branding, retention, and all the things that we try to do, also double down within diversity, inclusion, belonging. And before I said anything, he looked at me and said, I think we should do that. And what took you so long? So I didn't have to really do the selling pitch to him. And neither did I have to do it to the lead team or the top management team. So that was all good. And the program itself that we ended up to launch 2015, which was maybe 6 months later after that we started the conversation, was 6 months for everybody. Like moms, dads, same gender couple, adoption, surrogacy. So more or less, give everybody a chance to spend time with their little ones when that, special time arrives that never comes back, and give them that chance. And then after those 6 months, have a month to ease back into what will it look like and how will we set up if you're not in a country like Sweden, where you have, daycare for everybody and the whole support system.
Exactly, and I think in Sweden we have a generous parental leave system and also a social security system to support that as well. So we're kind of used to this.
I think we take it for granted.
We take it for granted.
It's a given,
yeah.
And I think that's why we fell in a couple of traps too. And I thought this was something that would be good in some parts of the world, but having the biggest today, I think we by far New York office is the biggest one, and then we have a couple of more offices in US. And in US and together with America, together with Papua New Guinea, is the only country where it's not kind of regulated, and the mom gets 3 weeks after giving the birth. And if you're a great standout, employer, you give up to 3 months. And then there are maybe a handful of companies that we all know the names of and that we have come to both maybe necessarily love for different reasons and not necessarily for their parental leave program, but where you could see up to 4 months, right? And here we came to the global arena and said, like, we truly believe that every parent, no matter who you are and how you became a parent, that you want to and you need to, and it's a good thing for you as in your private career, but also in your personal and professional career, to take that time and create that bond with your new family member. So 6+1 a month for everybody.
How was this? It's fantastic. How was this when you rolled it out? What was the feedback that you got from the employees?
I think we all were under the impression that obviously in the parts of the world where they never had this, that they would be, a bit superstitious about, okay, do you really mean for everybody, and what type of effects will this have for my career, and will you take notes if I take it? I don't think that anybody thought that we would take notes if they didn't take it. And it takes some time. Again, here we're so used to mom and dad taking time off. And we also have a system how we backfill for that and how we add the system. And that is a part of, you can try a job out for 6 months up to a year. And then if that was nothing for you, you can go back and it's no big drama. Same thing, you can go home and spend time with your children and your family and invest in that and then come back.
In Sweden.
In Sweden,
yes.
And it doesn't have to be a big drama. But for the rest of the world, we could see a pattern, right? For instance, for the fathers, and especially in some countries that not necessarily you would label as macho countries, but where this would be very, very different from what they have seen, or they don't really have any role models, or they haven't seen that this has been part of their structure or system, where some of them put like their toe into the water and did this. They took a month, because you can't really be replaced in a month, or 2 if they were really brave. And then they took 2, came back, worked, and then took 2 and came back. Mind you, again, in US, if the mom gets 3 weeks, 2 months is a long time to spend with your child. So that was all good. But then, year 2 and year 3, when nothing really bad happened to you if you did that, and nobody was like, what are you doing, or are you not interested in making a career or working here, or should we take that as you don't have any ambition? I think that was when we saw that those 2 months became 3, and maybe 3+3 with a month in, or a break, or coming in and do things. And now we see longer parental leave for all ages in all countries, but also for all gender, which is really, really positive. But you never know. You never know how it will be received. I think one other thing that gave me a lot of joy, and the team that worked with this, was how proud the Swedes were about this, because obviously we didn't give them anything that they didn't already have. So we thought it would be maybe accepted in the organization as a big, long yawn, like, what is this? But I think, all the gratitude, all the hurrahs and, emails and posts on Workplace or anything gave us more confidence that this was right. And then I have to say that every time I or Daniel receives, because usually it is us, which is unfair. It's not the team that work with this or the wider HR team. When people send these cute pictures of their children in the onesie with a little text and the logotype, I'm in the band, going like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And not once, but maybe 9 out of 10, it says, this was life-changing. Obviously, it puts a big smile and makes your whole week when you get those emails.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
So on that topic, the Swedish employees being proud, why do you think that they are proud of this
First
benefit?
of all, I think we talk about this, not necessarily a lot. I do on panels or, in different keynotes, that something that we sometimes call as, Swedish values or leadership on export. But it's something that we have had within our system. As I said, and this too, we take it for granted. Yep. No matter if you have children or if you're not having children, it's something that you are okay to pay taxes for, because I think we all believe that a company or a country that invests in that relationship is also a society we all want to take part of, and it's just the right thing to do. And I think those are the things people then felt that we are part of maybe opening the eyes and also pushing even countries and legislations around the world of, look here, you can be successful in a very small country like Sweden, right? With companies that are globally, and where we have vacations, which we are also, famous for.
Yeah.
That we kind of disappear in July and then pop back in August. And now we have this parental leave up to close to a year or more, depending on how you decide to design that from you and your family's perspective. And you both have a career, and those companies seems to be there, and it comes back to what I usually say about our company, but also about this country. It's kind of the bumblebee that nobody told that you are not able to fly, because it's not just one company, right? It's a lot of companies that are making it big out there from this back. Well, it's just recently with 10 million people, so it shouldn't really be done in that kind of scale that we are. And this is one of the things I think, not necessarily that makes us competitive, but I think makes us resilient and sustainable in the way that modern people wants to work, and also stay for a long time, and be having the feeling that the company has your back, and then obviously you will have their back when it's time to do. So it's one of those, give and take relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. Good. The Global Lead program is, as far as I understand, it's also part of your bigger diversity and belonging philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think of it as a benefit, and it is. It's a great benefit, and it's also a smart investment, right? As I said, you do your equation, you do the math, and if you put it in different buckets, then you would go like, it is expensive if you look at it as the company needs to pay for people being away. But you could also look at it totally different. You can put the money that you, as I said, where you do attraction, or you work with employee branding or retention, or also leadership development, right? There is not one training that is so instant with the feedback as this as a parent of two. If you say something to your children, you will know if that was the smart thing, not just there, but also in the long run. So we don't pay for that training. So most companies also spend a lot of time and devotion and also money and design into leadership development. And this is the part that you just get. People get more time efficient, they have to plan, they multitask, usually better when they become parents. And communication-wise, I'm not saying that your employees are children, but I'm saying that there's not that much difference when it comes to a couple of things that works, and especially the things that don't work. But going back to if it's a perk or a benefit, or if it's part of the bigger, D, I, and B strategy, for us it was, if you give all the people in your organization, no matter what they define and what sex they define themselves or gender, the same chances, and they are out for a while. Obviously, the gender that we usually talk about, being females or women, not having the same chances. Here you get a totally different system. And you could still have the glass ceiling, you can still have the issues or problems, but this is one of the things that actually adds the system in that way. And we also know from data and facts that it's more women that says, the timing is wrong for me, or I don't think I'm really ready for that job right now, or maybe in 5 years, but I have 2 small children. If you have a support system, and if the employer and your boss is like, I know, but I still asked you. And, as Thomas Chamaros writes in his books too, right, should not confuse two things, confidence with competence, right? And here, men usually do that, and recruiting and hiring managers do that too. And if you really look into performance and skill set and traits, I think you can have a bit low confidence when it comes to, is it time now for me to lead? and we have more females or women in that bucket, and then you have more men when you go like, hey, here's a job for you. It's bigger and better than anything that you ever had. And, 100% will go, yes, I can do even more. And you go, okay. And this is the things with the whole parental leave. You can actually try out jobs, as I said, and you can go back and just decide that you want to be an individual contributor, or you want to be a specialist, or no, that this was the right thing for me. I would love to be a manager or a leader, but there is like no lose face, and there is a good tryout. Same thing for the person that goes home. That wasn't maybe right for me, or it's not right for me at the same time. We usually always look at careers as it's a ladder. But if you start to look at it as a monkey bar instead, then you can step down, you can step aside, you can take 2 steps up. If you use the whole kind of system or ecosystem there, I think parental leave is a great tool for that. And I think for the companies that has not yet tried it or dare to try it or only see it as a cost or even very, very strange, I think that they are missing out. And I think the cost that they are paying or their societies are paying is tremendous, and nobody has really done the math about that.
Great, excellent, thank you. I think you gave some really good perspective on why you did it and how it sort of all fits together, right? You mentioned talent, how you also attract talent with this, of course. Do you think that? Now, this is a rhetorical question, or maybe I'm answering the question.
Go ahead.
Or maybe you already answered it. But do you think that the global LeadOnLeave program has that strength in your employer brand?
I think it does, but I think it does because we didn't make it as a campaign or something that we went up on the mountains and just, screamed that, hey, look at us. It's something that we're proud of. It's something that we are asked to talk about, something that, people remind us, and a lot of people that actually come and do the research before they apply or when they are in the process, they want to discuss during the recruitment process, or also then after a year or 2 or 3 or 4 use as new parents. And that is all good. But the thing is, if we didn't have those 28 years somewhat as experience as a company, or if we didn't come from a place of this is really good for our employees and it's the right thing to do, full stop, I think people would see right through that, right? And I think the important thing is has been, I'm not going to mention them even if you ask me, but there has been companies that has tried to do this when you scratch the surfaces a bit, and it was just, what we say, stickers and t-shirts, right? And it wasn't for all, and it wasn't for all types of people in the organization, or it was only for the white collar people or workers and not for the blue collars, or it was only for the mom and not the same sex couples and all that. So I think people are smart. They will find out. They will also see if this was something that you tried. And I'm not saying that it's something that all the things that you do you need to keep. You have to have test beds, right? And I think if you are thinking that you want to do this and want to try, why not do it for a part? But when you decide that you go hard and you go full company, you just have to have done the whole kind of full circle thinking about it so it works, but it doesn't have to work perfect. You can always iterate. You can always, tighten the knots and work with it for a while. But of course, it's part of our employer brand. Of course, it's a unique right now, which is unfortunately so. It's a unique selling point, right? Because so few companies have dared to do it or offer it. So good for us. But to be honest, nothing makes me more happy to see when we inspire other companies to do the same thing. We just have to find something else that is then a very, very good advantage, or even maybe unfair advantage for a while. So it keeps us on our toes too.
Yeah,
right?
Great. And I think, you are regarded in this arena as, the thought leaders. So and inspiring other companies, obviously, to look into this. If you were, and you mentioned a few things here, how you went about it, but let's say there is a Swedish company. We have a few of them. If I mention Swedish companies now, we do have a few of them who've been around for quite some time, longer than you have, right? Who have global reach and a global sort of both customer and employee base. What would be the sort of the first steps that you would recommend for them to do when embarking on this kind of journey and implementing this kind of global benefit?
I think you have to be confident that this is something that you will benefit from, and meaning the business will benefit from it. It's not just you coming from a good or nice place. That is all good too. But you have to make a business case out of it. Two, you have to be genuine, right? It's not something that if we do this, we will no longer, have a problem finding people within this space, or this is, because those things will come kind of for free if you do it the right way. So I think it goes back to find the parts in your diversity, inclusion, belonging, if that is the area we're talking about now, or any area that you, one, think is important, two, is where you need to do work, and we all need to do work within that space, where you very, very honestly also can say to the organization, we have not done right here, we're not good enough, and we're far from where we would like to be. And keep that dialogue and be open, transparent internally of what you are trying to achieve, because then they will go and talk about this in a very, both proud but also very genuine way. And your ambassadors within the organization, no matter if you think of them like brand ambassadors or not, they are. That is the whole thing. I can say things, or we can put things out, but when people ask if that is really how it is, or how we use this parental leave of ours, most people are like, no, far from it, or, well, it sounds good, but nobody's using it, or when you use it, this happens, not what they are saying. So I think you have to really think it through. But if you also try it, if you say to your organization, this is something we would like to, we're not really sure how, I think everybody understands, again, if you come from the right place. So nothing has to be perfect. I think it has to be good enough, and then you have to strive to make it perfect. I think those are the things that I would give as an advice. But if parental leave is not your kind of forte, or you don't have, as we, been cheating and trying it out in our country for a long time, and in most companies I've been, find something else. I'm pretty sure that there will be something that stands out, that is quite unique for a while, and that will help your people, your team, your company, but in best case also the part of society that you are, driving and expanding your business within. So I don't think anybody have to search far or long. I think those areas are just, around you, but you usually are so tied up with what's next on my calendar or agenda, or let's see what we can do, which is quite short term.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Now, I have to ask the question.
Okay.
Right?
What is the question?
So,
you have to
I have to ask the question, because I know there is such a huge interest out there. This Global Lead-On program obviously resonated really well globally, and you also got, as we said earlier, some good external feedback and good publicity on this one, especially in the US, right? If I'm not mistaken, this particular program, and again with the rest of the good work that you're doing, led you right into the Oval Office. Was that right?
No, maybe to the White House, but I was not invited all the way to the former administration's headquarters being the, I guess, Oval Office, or that office that we all seen in TV shows or from the news. No, I haven't been in there, but I've been to the White House, and I have had a meeting with President Obama.
Exactly. So how many CHROs do you think get to meet the President of the United States?
If that is a trick question, I don't know. I have not a clue. I have not thought about it. But yeah, first of all,
tell us.
I did not get invited because I'm me and I done what I done. I got invited because Spotify is a unique company, and that the timing of this policy, I think, was also quite good. And when we launched this, we were in the great fortune to do it together with the White House because they heard of it. And President's senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, that oversaw a lot of these kind of questions, super impressive. And I'm a big fan. So when I was told by my colleagues that she would come from Washington to New York when we did launch this internally, I was excited, and I was also a bit starstruck, and I usually don't get nervous, but that night before we launched that, I wasn't so nervous about that would be pressed there, because I thought it was like a no question. I knew we did it for our people, not necessarily to do the external kind of press conferences. But I was nervous because she was there. It's a super cool woman, super smart. And you know how you know that it's a Swede that speaks English. It's always super, and it's very, very. It's not just very. So it was also very, very intimidating. And we did that together. It was really nice. And then she had a lot of other engagements in New York that day. And I got invited to go to all those things, and for me to see just how she conducted herself and had those meetings and the topics. It was just one of the best days of my life, I have to say. And then people go like, yeah, but when you met Obama,
exactly.
And first of all, I'm not Obama with him too. When I met President Obama, it was during a conference that was hosted by his wife, the First Lady, Michelle Obama, together with maybe famous too, Oprah Winfrey. And so I did a panel and a keynote there and was focused on that. And in the afternoon, I was invited to go and see the president. And I got an email 2 months earlier than that. And I thought it was a practical joke, a prank. Where like, hey, we love the and the policy, yada, 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 and come and see the president, and signed by the White House and the president. I never answered that because I was pretty sure that went somewhere into the organization, and somebody would like laugh and giggle a lot about that. 2 weeks later, Tom, my colleague in Washington, D.C., said, Katarina, you need to answer that email from the president. And I said, yes, very funny. It's not from the president. And then he had to inform me and enlighten me that if you use that stamp and if you sign, that is actually, I think, a federal offense if you do that and if it's not correct. Then I got very, I answered very hurry or fast going, yes, thank you, and didn't really know what I signed up for. And it was a private meeting with the former president.
Okay, great intro. So what happened then when you met President Obama?
So everybody was keep asking me that day, and the people that were really cool right now. I have to say this. This is a story that is not told as much. The day before, we were invited to kind of dinner or drinks with the vice president, Joe Biden. And a lot of things happened in the state right that 24 hours. So he didn't show up, but we met with, Michelle Obama's secretary, Tina Chan, and all the other people that would also be speaking at the conference the day after. And then they said, okay, so there's a photo opportunity if you want to meet the vice president. And I said, I would love to meet the vice president, but I rather my team that actually work with this great parental leave policy to meet. And they're like, yeah, but I'm not going to say how they are in US, but it's a bit more hierarchical,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And I said, no, it's going to be them. And they're like, yes, it's going to be you. And I go, yes, but it's going to be the three of them. And they're like, no, it's going to be you. And I said, it's going to be the three of them, or it's not going to be a meeting. I know that was rude, but that was not my intention at all. I just thought that they that did the job, maybe Swedish of me, but I think that was just the right thing to do. So they got to meet Joe Biden that morning. I was prepping for my talk. So I didn't think so much about the afternoon. And then I was summoned backstage. And there were a lot of other people that was also talking. And I was like, there's Gloria and there's Billie Jean and all these, really, really cool, stellar women from all around the world, but especially US. So I was like, maybe I can take a selfie. I want to talk to them. And then all of a sudden it was like, now you're going to meet the president. And Tom took me, not aside, but he said, you're not Barack with him, Mr. President or President Obama. Just remind you of that. And I thought that was a bit silly. I like, yeah, my parents raised me good enough. But obviously what he was thinking about, even if I wasn't nervous before, walking into this long, very dark corridor, and they asked me to leave everything. So selfie was not really of the agenda there. So I walked into this huge room. It just opened up after all these dark curtains. And there were maybe 10 people standing over there, and they were all in dark suits. And I couldn't really see because I use glasses, right? So no, that's not the president. So I walked several steps in because I also thought that he will not spend the whole afternoon with me. He has other more important stuff. So I walk all the way into the room almost, and then I hear behind my back, here I am. So I turn around and my first words to the president is, oh, there you are. And then I had to kind of back and talk to him. And he was, as I said so many times, he was taller than I thought. He was actually more handsome than I thought. And he was much more, he was funnier than, he had a good sense of humor. So it was a good conversation.
Yeah. Great. Super interesting. And I assume a memory for life, right?
Memory for life. It was actually the only time for a second that I thought that maybe mom is
a bit proud.
Usually, so I have a tiger mom. I should add that she is proud, and it's not that. But if you have a mom, not necessarily from Sweden, but you have a mom from Asia, right? It's always better, stronger, faster, harder, always. And then you can be whatever you want to, and we're proud of you. But for a couple of seconds during that conversation, maybe she's happy right now. So yeah, and I think she is.
I'm sure she is, for sure. Now, just to round this off, because obviously there's nothing that can top this experience, I think. But I know that you also asked the president what he was going to do after his presidency sort of expired. Mm-hmm. You actually did offer him a job, didn't you?
So I can't really tell you everything that we talked about.
But that you could share.
But yes, what do you talk to the president about? I'm pretty sure that a lot of people meet him now, and he does a lot of important stuff now. And I know he's been to Sweden after, but this was, smack in the middle of his administration. But it was also in the end of the second period. So I kind of knew, because I'm not all that ignorant, that he had 6 to 7 months left. So I said, Mr. President, if you don't mind me asking, I know that in 6-7 months you don't have a job. What if you come to Sweden and work with me, because I have met most of you people that work from you. And first of all, I truly believe that you are really good at recruiting diverse. 2, really smart people, and 3, I'm super impressed. So what if, head of TA is open or head of DI and B? I have had great people, I do have great people now, but I thought that they could live with having Barack Obama as their manager. And he said very politely that he would talk to Michelle and the girls and see if Sweden could be. So obviously it was a joke. And obviously after that, both our marketing department or brand department picked that up, and that went viral when Daniel tweeted a job.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of interactions, and other people also talked about this when they were in the White House. But he has a good sense of humor, I have to say, and I have to say, all the people that worked for him, impressive lineup. So I had to ask.
Of course you had to. Great. So, as the Swede I am, I will have to say super inspiring talk. Katarina, thank you so much for sharing. Why don't we close this talk with the 3 things that you typically close talks with?
Okay, cool. And typically I think we talk Corona times, right?
Yes.
Okay. Please stay safe, please stay strong, and please stay active.
Idemodalje. So we don't have to do an intro.
We just say hello.
Hello, Katarina. So good to see you.